Welcome to another episode of Money Talks. I'm Nancy Stark, and with me today is Deanna Booker. Deanna is amazing, and she always has wonderful advice. Not only that, but Deanna is Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware's Communication and Outreach Manager. And on that note, Deanna, could you tell us a little bit about what CCCS does?
Sure. We are a nonprofit agency. We offer all kinds of financial counseling. We've been servicing folks here on the Eastern Shore and all around the state really since 1966. We're providing budget counseling, credit counseling, housing counseling, bankruptcy counseling even. Our goal is to make it so people can become economically self-sufficient. So we try to do that through financial literacy education, through counseling, just offering any kind of help we can.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And you must be very busy, especially with the
are.
economy the way that it is
We
right
are.
now. Well, here we are, and it's March, and we all know what that means. Tax time is coming.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exciting stuff. With tax time right around the corner, Dee, what kinds of changes do we have that relate to this year's taxes?
Well, I can tell you just kind of off the top of my head that federal returns have to be filed this year by April 17th because April 16th is a holiday in D.C. this year. It's Emancipation Day.
Oh, that's right.
So we have until the 17th. Now, state taxes, though, do still need to be filed by the 16th, by Monday, April 16th.
Ooh, that's an important distinction.
Right, it is. So we've got to remember those dates. Another change, the standard deduction increased by $50. So from $3,650, the deduction that you can take for each exemption has gone from $3,650 to $3,700.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
Yeah, that's a good
positive
change.
thing
That's
for
a
those
good
of us who
change.
need that.
Right,
Yes,
right.
every dollar counts.
Yeah, so I would suggest that folks just go to the IRS's website. It's www.irs.gov and just learn about some of the changes that have come up before you file.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, are there any free assistance programs available for those of us who need help preparing our taxes?
Absolutely. The Maryland Cash Campaign, we are a proud partner. They are our proud partner also. They offer free tax preparation assistance to folks who earn under $50,000. So it's a wonderful, wonderful service that they provide. They have something called VITA sites, Volunteer Information Tax Assistance. So you can go to a VITA site and have your taxes prepared by a certified or IRS certified.
You can get an appointment to do that?
Exactly, absolutely. You can get an appointment and go visit with an IRS certified tax preparer, and they will do your returns for free if you meet those income requirements.
Are there any other sites that are available?
Absolutely. Folks could also go to AARP, their website. They are offering free assistance to seniors who are 60 and older.
Right.
So if you go to AARP's website, www.aarp.org, you can find out all the information about how to make an appointment and where the tax preparation sites are nearest you.
And for Eastern Shore residents that want to visit a VITA site, how do they go about doing that?
Sure. Check out Maryland Cash's website, www.mdcash.org, or call them at 1-800-492-0618. And again, you can schedule the appointment, find out which site is nearest you.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, say you find a site that's close to you. What types of documentation do you need to bring for your session?
That's a good question. You want to make sure that you come, obviously, with a valid photo identification, so a driver's license, say. You're going to need your Social Security number, your Social Security card, also the Social Security numbers and birth dates for everyone in your family. Anybody that you're claiming, exactly, dependents, that kind of thing. You want to bring with you all W-2s that, from all sources of income, from you, your spouse, anybody involved. Also, any maybe 1099s if you have other sources of income. You want to bring those along with you too. It's also a good idea to bring a copy of last year's tax return.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just in case there's some information you need to refer back to, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you've got all that information.
What if you're like a parent in a family that has a child? Is there anything else you need to bring as far as if you're filing for the child care credit?
Sure. Again, along with the child's Social Security number, birth date. If you're hoping to claim that credit for child care, you also have to provide your child care provider's address, name, their tax identification number, that kind of thing. So if you're going to try to take that credit, you have to have all that information as well.
That said, some of us will not probably qualify for going in for free tax assistance, or maybe I have, too complicated of a tax situation to be able to have them do all of it. How can you go about locating a qualified outside tax preparer?
I think a good way is to maybe check with your neighbors, your friends, find out
That's
who
a
they
good
use. What kind of experiences have they had with the tax preparers that they've used in the past, and maybe that'll, help you along in making a decision about who you want to go with. No matter who you decide on, though, before you sit down to do some business with a tax preparer, make sure that you've done some research, that you've asked the questions, that you know who you're working with. You find out up front, what kind of fees do they charge?
That's important.
Right. Are there extra fees for extra schedules maybe that you have to file? Say you're filing the EIC. Maybe you've got to pay an extra fee for that. What kind of refund options do they offer? Ask these kinds of questions before you decide to sit down and do business with somebody.
Better to know ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Deanna, is there anything in choosing a tax preparer, is there anything you should avoid?
Well, yeah, I think you want to just use some common sense. For example, anybody who says that you should fudge the numbers.
You don't want to do that.
Right. Anybody who, says, we can kind of squeeze you through in this kind of way. Anybody who says that you should do anything that's untruthful in any way, that isn't truthful in any way, you should avoid. You don't want to get involved, with somebody who's going to have you do anything that's unethical maybe, because ultimately you're going to be responsible for any error in your report, for everything that you file, right? You're going to be responsible for it. So you want to keep that kind of thing in mind.
So you can't blame it on the person who prepared your return.
No, not at all. It's going to be your fault, right?
Well, so you have a tax preparer put together your return. What's next?
What's next is just really to review it. Make sure everything's done. Make sure you sign it. Make sure the tax preparer signs it. But don't sign it until, again, you've really reviewed it. Don't sign a tax return that's done in pencil.
Oh my gosh, no.
Right, because if somebody makes some changes, exactly, you're going to be responsible. So review it. Make sure that you have a copy of all of the documentation that you gave to the preparer, that you keep a copy. Make sure that you leave your preparer's office with a copy of the completed tax return. So so you have a copy of it in case something should happen. And you keep that copy in a safe place for at least 3 years. So really it's about reviewing it all, making sure it all looks good and all looks fine before you file it.
Well, that makes full sense, especially given that Uncle Sam can always pay a visit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, say I'm lucky enough to actually get a refund this year. Does it make sense to use one of the companies that I see on TV all the time to say they can really give me a fast return?
No. All these things you see, fast cash refunds and instant refunds and all of this, they're really not a good idea. Those are what we call refund anticipation loans. A lot of times when folks see those signs and those ads on TV, they say, oh my goodness, I'm going to get my refund instantly, but you're not. You're not getting your refund early. You are actually taking a loan against your refund.
That's a big difference.
Right, that you have to pay for. Sometimes some places charge upwards of $100. So you're going to pay $100 on top of what you paid for tax preparation.
That's a big crunch out of your refund.
Exactly. So those aren't a good idea. The best thing to do, file your return electronically, sign up for direct deposit, and you're going to get your refund in a timely manner, and it's not going to cost you.
That's a very, very good advice.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm getting a refund. I sure hope so.
Don't we all?
No, don't we though? But if I have a refund, how does it make sense to use it?
Well, what I can say first is what doesn't make sense, maybe. You just don't want to blow it. Now isn't the time. We've got this refund coming in. It's not the time for big screen TVs.
As much as I'd love to have a big screen TV.
We just don't want to blow it. So you want to make it work for you. You don't just want to flitter it away. So you might think about starting a savings. If you don't have a savings yet, this might be the best time to start building one. Some experts say that we should have enough savings in the bank to cover 6 months worth of expenses. A lot of us don't have that. A lot of us don't have nearly that. But this refund might provide you with the opportunity to kind of kickstart, a savings plan for yourself.
Yeah.
So you could do that. You could pay down some of your debt. You know?
Oh, what a good idea.
Exactly. Some of that credit card debt that you've been carrying around that you haven't been able to really make a lot of progress on, we could pay some of that down. That's going to save you in interest, you know.
That makes sense.
So you could do that. You could, maybe you've got, excuse me, someone's education to fund. Maybe you want to start a 529 college savings plan. Maryland actually has some of the best 529 plans.
Oh, do we really?
Anywhere, yes.
Oh.
If you, in Maryland, if you contribute $2,500 a year to the 529 college plan, you get a state tax deduction. So that's the kind of thing. Maybe it's time to start looking towards the future. Maybe retirement, you know, is something that you want to think about or that you have been thinking about. So maybe with this refund, you open an IRA, you know, want something that's going to benefit you, something that's going to be positive, and it's not just going to mean, you know, blowing our refund.
Blowing the money. That makes full sense.
Yep.
Well, it seems like whether you're getting a refund or you're going to owe Uncle Sam, and that's not a good thought.
No.
It makes me not even be able to say it. It seems like a really good time to do a financial assessment. Does CCCS have any help available as far as in doing that?
Absolutely. And it is a good time. It's a perfect time, especially because here's another reason. What if you end up owing taxes?
Ooh, that's scary.
So you might have to start thinking about it, and you might need some help thinking about how am I going to fit that into my budget. So we do. At Consumer Credit Counseling, we offer that free budget credit counseling, helping folks do that assessment, helping them understand where they stand financially. What's it going to mean? What do you need to do? What are the steps that you need to take? So we can offer that service for free.
Oh, that's wonderful that it's free.
Right.
How does budget and credit counseling work?
All somebody would have to do is call us. Call our 800 number, 1-800-642-2227. Call us up. We would schedule an appointment. A person could go into one of our local offices like here in Salisbury or have a session by phone. And during that session with the credit counselor, that's when that assessment's going to take place. That's when the counselor is really going to help you evaluate where you are and what you need to do. How can we increase income or cut back on expenses? What are the things, what are the steps that we can take? And it's all going to happen right there during that initial counseling session.
Oh, that's exciting. You can come away with an actual game plan for what you want to do.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. Well, I have one more topic I want to talk about before we leave off on taxes, and that is the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC. I understand that this is a credit that a lot of people qualify for, but they don't even know about. What exactly is it?
You're absolutely right. A lot of people don't know about it. And you can qualify for earned income tax credit.
Easy for you to say.
Right. If you earn less than $43,998. How's that for you? For
That's
a
pretty
figure?
precise.
Right. Or for a couple, if you're earning less than $49,078. But it is a credit that a lot of people don't know about. And ultimately, if you qualify for it, it leaves more money in your pocket because it reduces the amount of tax that you owe. The IRS has a great product on their website. It's called the Earned Income Tax Credit Assistant. So I definitely encourage folks to go to www.irs.gov, learn some more about it, see what the qualifications are. But it definitely is something that could benefit so many people. And like you said, a lot of folks don't even know about it.
That's excellent advice, Dee. And I think we're going to switch gears at this point.
Okay.
It looks like foreclosures are going to be a big problem for many of us again this year, sadly enough.
Yeah, it's very sad.
And with the new mortgage servicing settlement that came out in February, it's in the news again.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the settlement?
I can, a little bit.
Okay.
I can tell you that over the last about 18 months or so, state attorney general's offices around the country have been conducting an investigation into, and all the things that we've heard about, all of the mortgage fraud and bad practices, robo-signing, all of these terms that we've been hearing in the news. Well, they've been conducting this investigation. And during the course of this investigation, and since this investigation has been completed, the state attorney general's offices have entered into an agreement, a settlement agreement with the 5 largest banks, the five largest mortgage servicing banks, I should say. Those are Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, and Ally Bank, which some of us might know as GMAC. So they've entered into this settlement. It's expected that this settlement is going to maybe bring about almost $1 billion with a B, $1 billion
Wow.
in different kinds of benefits for distressed homeowners, for homeowners who've been foreclosed upon already, all different kinds of things. So it's a big deal. It's a
Now,
big deal.
is that for homeowners, the $1 billion, is that for homeowners here in Maryland?
It is. It's for homeowners, you know,
Wow.
exactly. It's for homeowners in Maryland. This entire settlement it's going to be stretched out a lot, but it is going to hopefully service a whole lot of folks here in the state.
And with that said, how will the money be used?
That's the thing.
Yeah, the $24
You're
question.
right. It's going to be probably in a few ways. Portion of the money is going to be set aside, for lack of a better term, for folks who have already lost their homes. So between January of 2008 and December 31st, 2011, folks who were victims of those kinds of bad practices and actually lost their homes, were foreclosed on, their homes are gone, money is going to be set aside for those people. Some of the money is also going to go to fund loss mitigation kind of prevention programs, so forbearances and mediations and that sort of thing for folks who are in trouble, you know.
That's good.
Exactly, and have loans with those 5 major servicers. Some of the money is also going to go to folks who have loans with those major servicers but are still current.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. They're current, but they're underwater, or their house is what we call upside down. They owe more on it than it's worth, so
Right.
they're looking to refinance. So some of the money is going to be put into a pool, so to speak, for that. And then some of the money also is going to be set for housing counseling agencies to fund, you know, that kind of help, different sort of housing counseling programs to make it so people are getting the kind of assistance that they need. So it really is going to be something that's very detailed, very kind of spread out. But again, hopefully it's going to help a lot of people.
That sounds wonderful. When is it going to go into effect?
That's the other thing.
That's another question.
Right? It's probably, honestly, Nancy, probably going to take months.
Wow.
Right, months.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, to implement this settlement. It really is, just because it's so large and there's so much information, so many details that have to go into it. So for folks that are looking for information, and folks are looking for information already, and it's just been announced, they are actually calling our offices, you know, thinking that we have some of the answers and some of the details. Where folks need to go right now is to the State Attorney General's Consumer Call Center line. So what folks can do in the interim for some information, and I know that there are people out there that are wanting information already, and this has just been announced because they're calling us. You know, we're getting the calls exactly into our office. But where you really need to call is the State Attorney General Call Center line. You can reach them at 1-888-743 0023. That's where you need to call in and get some more questions answered, find out some more information about it.
That's really good advice. Now, that's a lot of money that's going to be in the settlement.
Yeah.
With that said, there are a lot of people with foreclosure problems, and I'm sure that the settlement isn't going to help everyone, especially people who don't have mortgages with those 5 companies.
Exactly. That's exactly
So
right.
if you're behind on your mortgage already, or you're worried about being able to make it each month, what should you do?
Well, I think one of the first things that you really need to make sure you do and that you have is a good understanding about what your mortgage is. Really take out all of your mortgage documents, look at them, review them, really understand what's contained in them. What kind of mortgage do you have? Do you have, right, what are the terms? Do you have an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage? If you do you know when the rate is set to reset? You know, do you know all of the terms involved? Do you know your rights and responsibilities? Do you know what your lender has the right to do if you get behind? You know, what are all the things involved? So I think that's really one of the main things, just to make sure that you've got all the information, you know, that you're armed with as much information as possible. Also, too, I think that if you're in trouble or if you're feeling like trouble's coming, call your lender right away.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. We say that all the time when I'm here.
True.
Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Call your lender right away, because they might have, early in the process, they might have some options for you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. They might have some foreclosure prevention options that they could talk to you about right then. So don't hesitate to call them. Also, don't ignore the mail that your lender's sending to you.
As tempting as that might
Right,
be.
because we get frustrated, and I've had clients say, oh, I didn't even open it. I didn't even look at it. I was too upset. Open, read, review, understand every piece of mail that your lender sends. First of all, again, early in the process, the notices that they may be sending you might have some help in them. They might be giving you some suggestions, giving you some options, telling you some things that can be done. If you're further behind and your situation's a little more dire, the notices that they're sending you might talk about legal action that's being taken
want to know when
against
that's
you.
going to
Right.
happen.
Some things that are really important. So you want to make sure you're opening all the mail, reviewing it, reading it, looking at everything that's out there. Because if your situation does maybe get a little worse, maybe you end up in court. I didn't see it, or I didn't open it, or I didn't get that piece of mail is not going to be an excuse.
That makes full sense.
Right. So we want to make sure. But when it comes down to it, ultimately, your lender doesn't want your house. And so
that's an important distinction.
Right, I think it is. I really think it is, because sometimes folks get so frustrated and so upset. That's what they think. The lender really doesn't want your house.
No.
So I think it's in everyone's best interest, to try to work things out as quickly as we can. So that's why I say don't hesitate.
That is excellent advice. And along with not waiting, I would think you also want to be aware of who you're dealing with if you try and get outside help.
Absolutely, because there's some scams out there. So you have to be watching and be vigilant and do the homework. Like we always say, Nancy, do the homework, do the research about who you're going to deal with.
What should you avoid?
You should avoid anybody, first of all, who promises you the moon. Anybody who says that they
If it's
promise,
too good to be true, it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyone who says that they promise, they guarantee that they can stop the foreclosure no matter what. You want to avoid that.
Fairy tale.
Right. You want to stay away from anybody who suggests that you lease your home to them and then buy it back.
That sounds a little squirrely.
It's awful. It's awful. And the saddest part is we know that these things are happening. So anybody who says, oh, don't worry about it, I'll sign it for you. Oh, just sign here and I'll fill in the rest. Anybody who's trying to get you to do anything like that. Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to paperwork, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. So you want to just watch out. And if you do find yourself dealing with someone and you feel like, hey, maybe this person's a little shady, maybe they're not quite as ethical as they should be, right? Report them. File a complaint with the consumer protection agencies, just so it doesn't happen to someone else. Somebody else doesn't get involved
so
with
they
them.
don't become a victim too.
Absolutely.
Well, with that said, what can a person do to make sure they don't become a victim?
I think the best thing to do is use a housing counselor, find a housing counselor from a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. You want to make sure that you're dealing with someone who is certified, you can trust, who's giving you, the information in the way it should be given to you. So I think that's one of the most important things. So go to HUD's site and check them out. You're going to deal with somebody, go to www.hud.gov and just check them out.
To make sure that they're certified.
Exactly right. Another thing, just like we were saying, you just want to be vigilant. So don't sign anything before you read it. Don't fall in with anybody who's giving you these outrageous guarantees. You want to make sure that you've done your homework, you've done your research, and you're confident and comfortable, with the person that you're working
dealing with.
Exactly.
Do you want to make sure of what their fees are?
Absolutely. Anytime that anybody's going to charge you a fee for something, you want to make sure that you've got it in writing, you know what it is up front. You're not going to be surprised by anything that sort of comes along the wayside. So definitely, that's a great point.
How much does it cost to get counseling at CCCS?
Absolutely nothing. Our foreclosure prevention counseling is 100% free.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that makes full sense.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I can't believe it, but I think we've come to the end of another program, Deanna. Do you have any parting advice?
Well, the same advice, I think, Nancy, that I always have when I'm here with you. Anybody watching, if you need help, if you know anybody in your family, don't wait. Don't hesitate to get some outside help if you need it. Call us, talk to a reputable, certified credit counselor, and get the assistance that you need.
What about housing counseling?
Same thing. Our housing counselors are available. You can call our housing line. The number's 1-866-731-8486. And again, if you need that kind of help, please don't wait to reach out to us.
That's very, very good advice. Well, and I know that you have a lot of information that's available just as educational information on the website. What is CCCS's website?
Our website is www.ccccs pac14-inc.org. So anybody can go to the site, and there's all kinds of information in the resource section, all kinds of budgeting help. Great information on the website.
And also on Facebook, I hear.
Yes, yes.
How can I locate you on Facebook and like you?
Yes, please like our page on Facebook. If you belong to Facebook, you can just go. You can search for us there at CCCS of Maryland and Delaware. You have to spell it all out.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us.
It's
You
my
always have such
pleasure.
wonderful advice.
Thank you.
And a big, big thank you to PAC14 as well.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, PAC14.
Without them, we wouldn't be here. And on that note, stay tuned to the next episode of Money Talks.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC14 is a great way to connect with your community.